A wise and very handsome man once said, "If I fall back down, you're going to help me back up again. If I fall back down, you're going to be my friend." That was me. I'm the one that said that. But I was reading lyrics from a Rancid song. We're talking about fallers in this episode. Producer, hit that button. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. I am bigz. He is Grindberg. Schultzy's over in the back corner doing his thing. We got a great episode. We're going to talk about fallers based on free agency. But bigz, the draft hasn't even happened yet. How can guys be falling? It's March. This is madness, you might be saying to yourself. Well, yeah, we're identifying these guys early. Bad situations. Just getting worse. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're doing pretty darn good. I am anyway. I know we're in that part of the season where there's a bleeding gap here, huge gap in between action, but we're close here. Free agency is running, and the NFL draft is right around the corner, so we're here to fill that gap. Schultzy, how are you doing, man?
Hey, you know what? Cubs baseball started back up today, but they got waxed today, so that was a little sad. But
they did just as good as the Giants. I love the WBC curse. Logan Webb starts for Team USA, goes out, gives up 6 runs in 5 innings. Paul Skeens starts for Team USA, chased out after 2/3 of an inning, giving up 5 runs. Jung-Hoo Lee played for Korea, 0 for 4. Aaron Judge, 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Team captain of Team U. Like, these WBC guys fell flat on their faces on day one, and it's hilarious.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's time for football, though. Let's talk about a little bit about football. We're ready. We're ready. Okay, we're talking about fallers here. We're going to start with, the quarterbacks and tight ends, 2 positions that where free agency will quickly change things in their existing roles. The quarterbacks, it comes down to the teams bringing in new competition or, the players around them. Who knows? We're going to break this down. And bigz, let's start with you. Let's start with your quarterback / tight end guy that you'd like to spotlight here as your faller in this category. Who is it?
So mine is Theo Johnson. In his rookie year, I had high hopes for him. He dealt with injuries, didn't really have a massive year. Coming into 2025, in week 4, he had double-digit points, tight end 3 finish in week 5, top 10 finish in week 7, top 10 finish in week 10, and the signs were on the wall that Theo Johnson is the tight end of the future for the New York Giants, and I was all in. Drafted him in fantasy, picked him up off waiver wires all over the place, and he had a fairly respectable tight end 18 finish. It's not great, but it's good for a backup. It's good for a streamer with good matchups and stuff. And then the New York Giants went out and they signed Isaiah Likely. So our last episode, I said Isaiah Likely was a winner. He finally gets to be the tight end 1 on a team after him sitting behind Mark Andrews for so many years. Now it's the Isaiah Likely show. Theo's going to be relegated to the Isaiah Likely role. And it makes me sad because he was a good prospect in fantasy, and now his value is completely tanked.
Yeah, we've been pretty high on him for a couple of years here at bigz. He, especially we thought last year with the Jackson Dart combination, he was gonna do a little bit more than he did. Still not a horrible year, did play 15 games, but 529 yards like the thing shows here. But yeah, unlikely situation coming in here, and Isaiah Likely's here to burn out his flame. So yeah.
When we talk about tight ends, make sure that you like and subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get notified when we do our Dynasty show with at Koopa Fiasco, the tight end guru, and we talk about the tight end rookie class. But one of his benchmarks that he looks for, if you're not going to be a tight end that leads your team in targets, he wants you to have 100 targets or 10 touchdowns. And Theo was about halfway there last year, which meant that with some growth, he could get to that point, especially with Wan'Dale Robinson leaving town. People more worried about Malik Neighbors because Malik wasn't on the field.
Yep.
So he was on his way there, and now it's never going to happen. Unless he signs a free agent deal in 5 years, similar to what Likely did.
Yeah, and that could happen, but yeah, things aren't looking good right now. But and where else things aren't looking good here is in Minnesota for our guy here.
I thought you were going to say my pants.
for a guy, guy that we're still really holding out for, and that's JJ McCarthy. And yeah, I mean, he's a guy that is really falling in here because of new competition. Obviously, the Vikings signed the veteran quarterback, Kyler Murray, whether you like it or not. We're obviously not Kyler guys, and maybe some competition happens here in training camp that maybe I'm hoping for. But at this stage, this move is a game changer for all the wrong reasons. We knew they were going to bring in somebody, and now they've brought it in a guy like Kyler Murray, who's probably going to get an opportunity right out of the gate here. It's going to make things murky. What sinks McCarthy here isn't just the fresh competition. It's the lack of runway and room that no longer revolves around his development, his accuracy, and decision-making that flashed in college. The flashes that Biggs and I were really so high on headed into last year and the year before as well. But, PFF graded 61.8, not great, 35th out of 43 qualifying quarterbacks, 12 interceptions, only 11 across 10 starts. We know that he showed some flashes here, but it wasn't the type that obviously the Vikings brass have confidence in him moving forward. So obviously with Kyler Murray coming in, it's just not adding depth. It's a clear vote of no confidence in their young quarterback. And hopefully this job security doesn't evaporate and he has something that fits in this lineup eventually. But the shrug here is McCarthy's stock is heading straight down, unfortunately.
McCarthy is this year's recipient of the Treylon Burks Memorial I will never give up on this guy award. We have to go back and look at the toolbox that JJ McCarthy carries, and all of the traits and talent are there. We have 3 or 4 different quarterbacks in this 2026 rookie class who are coming into the league with more snaps in college than JJ McCarthy had. And when you combine his NFL snaps, they still are ahead of him in total career snaps. So it can take some time sometimes, but the talent is there, and he's one of my forever guys.
I mean, I would have been out on him had they not signed Kyler. The fact that they signed Kyler tells me that even the coaching staff is done with this guy and they don't see it. If
Kyler
they saw,
don't scare me.
I'm in on Kyler this year, man. We've seen him put it together at the NFL level, and now he actually has a functional coaching staff. He's played on one of the worst organizations in the league for his career without, a ton of help around him. And now we're going to get Kevin O'Connell. He carries a lot of the traits that we like out of McCarthy, and except he's way more dynamic on the ground. So if we're giving McCarthy all the benefit of the doubt, here's a guy who's done it in the league and now gets to play with Kevin O'Connell. Okay. I think the fact that Kevin O'Connell decided to go out and get a new dude is the proof in the pudding you need to know about JJ McCarthy.
Okay, I'm sold on Kyler now.
Are you
Nailed
really?
I guess. I mean, all of the things that I said about, the safety net that JJ McCarthy had in 2025, the system, the fact that Kevin O'Connell has, made Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins into like top line quarterbacks. Kyler Murray is more mobile. I guess we'll see what happens in training camp. We'll see if there's a QB battle. We'll see if this wasn't just, trying to light a fire under McCarthy and it was an actual organizational shift to, or light a fire under JJ McCarthy and it's not an organizational shift to a different quarterback. We'll see what happens.
It's a big cap hit for a motivational push.
Right.
Yeah. All right there, Schultzy. Bring in your guy, Baby Gronk. Baby Gronk.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. I feel slimy about this. So my first two guys here are guys I was really looking to take a next step here into the next season. Ben Sinnott for me, and Murdoch agrees. All right, that's what I got about that. Ben Sinnott, I love this guy coming out, and yes, I made a video last summer about how he reminds me of Gronk, and I stand by that, man. Biggs talked about not quitting JJ McCarthy. This is a dude I'm not quitting on. Like, the athleticism doesn't knock you off on a spreadsheet, but it's enough to make guys miss. He's impossible to bring down by himself. Like, he's just a slippery guy. I love what I saw on film out of him, and I think the game translates so well to the NFL. He got stuck behind Zach Ertz. And like, looking at Zach Ertz's career, that's kind of what he's done, right? He's been a cog for the dude behind him. We saw Dallas Goedert blow up when he left Philly. Trey McBride sat behind him there in Arizona. And it was Ben Sinnott's turn, man, until they signed Chigakonkwo. You got to follow the money. They're going to give Chig the chance. It doesn't mean I don't believe in Ben Sinnott still, but yeah, this definitely takes a big hit.
And these hits, like, is there a path for JJ McCarthy? Is there a path for Theo Johnson? Is there a path for Ben Sinnott? Yes, but it's highly more unlikely now. We need injuries ahead of them. It's just like, it's murky. That's why they're
murky
fallers.
Waters. Yeah. Well, you know what isn't murky is the path to fantasy success for your rookie drafts. And you know what's cracking right now on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network? It's our Fantasy Sports Advice Network prospect guide that launched a couple of weeks ago. Better get your copy. Let's hear all about it from our big man, Bigz.
We've all been there, watching a can't-miss rookie bust while your rival scoops up the next superstar on waivers. The 2026 class is deep, talented, and full of landmines. Do you know who's actually worth the 101? Stop guessing, start scouting. The Fantasy Sports Advice Network 2026 Rookie Prospect Guide is your blueprint for a dynasty. The experts from the Fantasy Forecast, the Devi Dojo, the Dynasty Pulse have logged the hours so you don't have to. From advanced analytical models to raw film grading, we give you the data that translates to Sunday points. Don't just participate in your draft. Dominate it. Download the 2026 guide at fsan.com today. Your championship starts here. Again, I thought you were going to say my pants.
All right, let's move on to our next category, and that is the running backs. And not so good paths for some of these guys after free agency landed here. And Biggs, talk about your first running back and the guy that some of us were high on headed into last year, but looks like Sean Payton's going to murky the waters even further here for
Sean Payton again. I'm going to talk about RJ Harvey. During the preseason process, the draft process in 2025, Harvey got a lot of really, really late steam based on the fact that everybody kind of assumed he was going to take over at some point for J.K. Dobbins. And he had a fairly okay year for a rookie. 7 touchdowns wasn't bad, 146 attempts, 540 yards. He only started 7 of the games. He definitely is a back burner guy in that Broncos offense. And J.K. Dobbins was a free agent. He was supposed to leave and R.J. Harvey take over in 2026. But a funny thing happened on the way to R.J. Harvey's stardom. The Broncos re-signed J.K. Dobbins. That's not a good look for R.J. Harvey. He flashed a lot of potential. A lot of people in the industry think that he can be the bell cow running back, but it's a Sean Payton system, and it looks like he's going to basically play the same backup role next year, sealing him out for 200 attempts. He could add to the touchdown total by a couple, maybe 600 to 700 yards. I think that's going to be his ceiling, and that doesn't help a lot of people in fantasy.
No, not much at all. Yeah, I mean, I thought he'd have a bigger role. They were talking about him in that Joker style situation, but he just doesn't have the size, I don't think, to be able to be the guy that can carry the load. And they like that bruising back up the middle, so they're going to have a guy like J.K. Dobbins, who, as long as he's healthy, I think he's going to be their starter. And yeah, like you mentioned there, Biggs, just a guy that had a lot more aspirations for. They just fell off the wagon. Schultzy, anything more to add about RJ?
Yeah, I mean, it is a bummer because a lot of people, myself included, I mean, in like Dynasty, I've got some shares and you paid up for those. So that stinks. It's concerning that they brought back J.K. Dobbins, right? Especially coming off injury. Like, it's clearly enough that they really like the guy and he got hurt for him after he's gotten hurt how many times in his career, and they like him enough to still bring him back.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Well, let's move on to my guy. And unfortunately, yo-yo syndrome here for me with Bucky Irving. And, he's a faller for me after, the Bucks signed veteran running back Kenneth Gainwell in free agency. I think they're going to have that committee usage backfield approach. And I was hoping for a big upgrade here in that backfield for Bucky Irving, once knowing that Rachaad White was hitting the bricks. He left for greener pastures with the Commanders, but now the addition of Gainwell and, that third down role, and he's actually pretty good in the red zone as well. So I think that this is going to be more of a committee role rather than that RB1 upside that we're going to see out of Bucky Irving. Yes, he's going to have his explosive plays. He's going to manage some decent chunk yards. I think he's still going to return good value, but I think what we're going to be paying for him headed into this year is just going to be a little bit more than I'm willing to chew off with Gainwell's entrance. Bucky, he was good, but he wasn't great. His efficiency dipped quite a bit. He managed only 588 yards and 1 touchdown on 173 carries across 10 games last year. His rushing success rate went from it was one of the league's worst, highlighting his regression and his vision and his burst, according to PFF rankings. So I'm looking at him being a guy that still good, still decent, but a guy that is going to be a highly price tag guy come redraft season, and I'm probably going to be avoiding it if I can.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly. I do want to point out that if I'm not mistaken, those are the stats of Travis Etienne. But other than that, yeah, Bucky Irving's value dips. Rachaad White, we don't know what's going to happen with him. And Kenneth Gainwell, who I personally waited for like 4 or 5 years, finally did something, and now he's getting a bag from Tampa Bay.
All right, there you have it. All right, Schultzy, talk about Travis Etienne.
Woo! Too many clicks.
Spoiler.
We got Etienne. So here's a guy I talked about, Ben Sinnott, a guy I thought was going to take a big step. My wide receiver is another dude I was expecting to take a big step. Here's a dude that is at the top of his game, but I don't like the landing spot. So we saw back to 2023 when Etienne finished as the RB3. He had a rough 24, as did everybody in the Jacksonville offense. And then they come back with Liam Cohen. And as we expected in this Liam Cohen offense that Bucky Irving just blew up in, Travis Etienne blew up, was our RB10 again. And this came while he was logging 60% snaps. So going into free agency with Etienne, re-signing in Jacksonville was on the table. But then beyond that, the big names we were talking about, we would love to see the Chiefs, right? Obviously, they went for Kenneth Walker. The Commanders was another name. Maybe the Bears they moved on from Swift. There were some potential landing spots here that I would have kept Etienne at an equal level as he finished last year in. However, the Saints is not one of those teams. I get this is probably a rising offense. I was way more impressed with Tyler Shuck than what I thought he was going to be. Do I think he's going to be like a total franchise guy still? No, but this offense is rising still. I'll give him that. I just don't see this offense being good enough to sustain Travis Etienne being a top 12 back again. there's still mouths there to feed. Like, obviously he's got the money and he's going to get the majority, but like Alvin Kamara's still here. He's still going to chip away at that. And you've got some young guys here that we all love the potential on, and Kendre Miller, Devin Neal. I just don't see a world where Travis Etienne steps in and is commanding 80% of the snaps like he was a few years ago in Jacksonville. And if that's the case, he needs to be in an offense like Jacksonville last year that's going to score almost 30 points a game. And he's going to get all these red zone opportunities and, you know, all the receiving and all the volume that he and the high value volume he got last year, even though playing 60% of snaps. I just don't see that translating to New Orleans. And for that reason, he's falling, man. He's going to get drafted as probably a back-end RB1, I think, and I'm just not going to be there with him.
Yeah, Kamara is likely to return. There were talks about him retiring, but he was playing in that flag football thing, and there's training videos of him out there trying to get back healthy for the season. So not looking good for Travis Etienne, not looking good for Devin Neal. That was a huge hit for me.
Mm-hmm.
That Saints backfield is just like undraftable at this point. I mean, what can we realistically expect from Kamara, given the year that he had last year, his propensity for injury, that kind of thing? So stay away from all of them for now.
And even at like where Chimere is at in his career, like he's still going to warrant a small chunk of snap share.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into the spotlights. And I think bigz has got another juicy one to start us off here. So let's hit it up with our spotlights. Wide receivers.
My spotlight free agency faller is Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was falling anyway. He has been at the top of the game. He's been the wide receiver 1 in fantasy. Had a rough go of it last year with J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy had a problem getting the ball into Jefferson's hands. Not a problem throwing it to him. He had 141 targets, but having a problem landing it in Jefferson's hands. There was a play I saw. McCarthy drops back. Justin Jefferson is running a crosser in the back of the end zone, and McCarthy winged it, and it went right through Justin Jefferson's hands. I think the velocity that J.J. McCarthy has on his throws is not something that Jefferson was used to. Now we have a situation where McCarthy is likely the odd man out at quarterback, with them bringing in Kyler Murray as a free agent. And what do we know of Kyler Murray? His inability to create plays downfield for his wide receiver. We saw that with the potential of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray's inability to get him the ball in a Trey McBride offense. If anybody is a riser on this Vikings team, I'm going to be in on TJ Hawkinson this year, because I know what Kyler Murray can do with a tight end, but I have real hesitation imagining that Justin Jefferson is in a better position now with Kyler Murray than he was with J.J. McCarthy. The targets will still be there. They're still going to run 150 plays for him like they do every year, but I don't see Kyler being able to get him the ball.
That's fair. I mean, that's a fair assessment. I don't think this is an upgrade. Some people have him as like the power stack here, Kyler and Jefferson to the moon. I don't see it right now, but Schultzy said he's pretty high on Kyler. So what do you think about this Jefferson fade here? And are you with him, or are you highly against this? Because if you're higher on Kyler, you must be, looking for good stuff here from Jefferson. I agree with bigz, though. I think Hawkinson's going to be a guy that's going to be a value later on, especially if you can get him for dirt cheap, because he looks at his tight end because of his height. So what are your thoughts on Jefferson?
I won't be drafting him and redraft at his price. That's for sure. I think we can expect a little bit of improvement, just because I think Kyler is noticeably better. However, I think bigz is right. When I talked about proofs in the pudding with Kyler, we've seen this guy put it together and succeed at the NFL level. So that's why I think he can come over and do it, right? But bigz is dead on that we've also seen him be a huge limitation to a wide receiver 1 in an offense. Both things can be true.
Yeah, and I thought when Mike was shifting it back over to you for your take, I thought Kyler Murray may be a good choice for the Vikings in general, but not necessarily for Justin Jefferson.
Right. I'm dead on with that take.
I mean, if we look back through history, the wide receiver ones that he's played with, where'd it go? So he had
DeAndre Hopkins.
Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. Trey McBride was the number one in that offense. And then in 2023, it was 81 receptions for Trey McBride again. Marquise Brown had 101 targets, 51 catches. 101 targets, 51 catches. That's about what we can. I'm not saying Hollywood Brown is on Justin Jefferson's level. I'm just saying that was the best that Kyler could do. And then in 2022, again, it was Hollywood Brown, 67 targets. Greg Dortch, 52. DeAndre Hopkins, 64. So
there was one year Hopkins blew up. But, I mean, yeah, I'm still with you. I think there's some limitations here. And bringing up the Hopkins thing, I think that does give a little bit of hope for Jefferson, right? Because if you got a guy who you trust that much and just go make a dang catch, because that's what Hopkins did, I think that's going to help a little bit, which is why I am a little higher than we were here with McCarthy. But I still think there's reason to have a little bit of pause on JJ.
I do think the Vikings defense is a little bit better too, so they may not need to be hucking it as much as well. So we'll have to see. All right, let's get into my spotlight here, Schultzy, and it's a good one. Well, some high-profile signings like veteran wide receiver Mike Evans now crowds this wide receiver room, and I think it's pretty much slashes some of the projections a lot of people had here for Ricky Pearsall. I wasn't never a big high on Pearsall guy, but, when opportunity hits and there's situations that happen, this offseason, I was a little bit more optimistic up until now when Mike Evans signs here, and that's a huge plus here for the 49ers. I think the red zone, this has got Devontae Adams season 2025 and 2026 happening here for Mike Evans. I think he's going to make a huge splash in that offense, help Brock Purdy become an elite asset in Dynasty, and I think he's going to be a great asset in redraft, who I think I'm going to be highly targeting as well this offseason, especially if he can creep into the back half of the first, the QB1s here. But Pearsall, though, 36 receptions, 528 yards, no touchdowns on 52 targets, limited access. His target share remained modest, but that was with a really banged up wide receiver room and not much competition around him. And I think this has got the writing is on the wall. I also think the 49ers might look at the draft here and adding a wide receiver in quite a pretty deep draft here. I would love to see a Omar Cooper or a Casey Concepcion land in San Francisco and kind of take away that Ricky Pearsall role here. So I'm going to temper my enthusiasm here. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near a wide receiver one, probably wide receiver 2 floor. I mean, like ceiling weeks with a wide receiver 3 floor. What are you guys' thoughts here? Biggs, what do you think on Ricky?
I'm pretty low on Pearsall. I have been. The only thing that he had going for him as a rookie was his draft spot, his draft share. What am I trying to say?
Draft capital.
Draft capital. Thank you. I like Jacob Cowing better as a slot receiver. And I was really surprised that Pearsall was drafted as high as he was over Cowing. Cowing, they're both entering their third year. So if they're going to be a third year breakout, this is going to be it. They both are basically slot guys, digs, slants, screens, things like that. That's at least what Pearsall's profile was in college. And now Mike Evans comes in and he takes away the boundary stuff. He takes away the deep stuff, the 9 routes. So Ricky Pearsall, if he was going to evolve into that receiver in year 3, now his growth is going to be stunted by Evans, and just like you said, they're likely to bring in a receiver in the draft. That hurts Pearsall's chances. Jacob Cowing is still there; he could outwork him in camp. It's Pearsall's down.
All right, Schultzy, let's get into your spotlight.
Well, I think this guy's got a chance in the long haul to carve out a role, but it's not going to be this year. I liked what I saw to Chimere Dike last year, man. He started bursting on the scene. Punt return duties. I think he took 2 back for touchdowns this year, but had a lot of other just impressive punt returns. So like you like guys like that because they've got they can go force missed tackles. You love the vision that provide, or the vision it takes to see the field, especially for like a slot receiver who's gonna get the ball in space and be able to work. Like we love those kinds of traits, and I loved what I saw out of him last year. And it wasn't a huge season, but he only ended up starting 10 games and put up 48 receptions, 423 yards, and 4 touchdowns. This was a bad offense. There's no way to slice that, right? I mean, the Titans' offense stunk, but I think Cam Ward is good, man. I feel very similarly to Cam Ward's rookie season as I did to Trevor Lawrence's, where it was a mess around him. It looked bad at times. You were putting games out there that were 55% completion percentage. There were plays that you're just like, what is happening? On the flip side, there was 5 to 6 throws a game out of Cam and Trevor where you just went, oh my God. And that was one of the biggest reasons I never gave up on Trevor, right? You just don't teach a guy to throw a ball like that. And Cam was awesome this year at tight window throws. He's better than Trevor at when the play breaks down and scrambling around, the scramble drill. Like he's good at that. I believe in Cam Ward. I think that is going to translate. And we saw him starting to develop with Chimere Dike down the stretch. I was really excited at this relationship budding, and at the redraft price, I think Dike was going to be so late, and he was going to be a slam dunk for me. However, Wan'Dale Robinson gets the $76 million contract, primarily the slot guy. I mean, what does this do for Dike? I don't know if he's got the chops to play on the boundary. So it's very concerning for Chimere Dike and his potential to evolve in an NFL offense. He's still going to get a little bit of run. He's still going to have punt return duties, but obviously I ain't helping us in regular fantasy formats. So when you pay a guy like Wan'Dale, you got to give him the ball, and this hurts for Dike, and that's a bummer, man.
Yeah, one of the things that we have to look for is target share, and Dike was 3rd on the Titans in targets last year, behind Chig and Alec Manor. So Manor is still there. He's your boundary guy. You have Dike, who's going to be on probably the Y receiver, and then you have Wan'Dale in the middle. And Wan'Dale is a target machine. I mean, that guy earns 125 targets. Nobody on the Titans had over 90 targets last year. So if somebody comes in who is able to earn 120 targets, less so because the offense isn't going to operate the same way that the Giants did, that just eats into what everybody else is going to do. And I think DK is I think Manor and whoever is the tight end, whether it's Gunnar Helm or somebody else, I think they're going to be primary, and then DK kind of takes a back seat behind Wan'Dale.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I think that's a great breakdown from both you boys. Love it, guys. That is it. We have some fallers. Next week, I got a great one planned for us, and it's going to be about sophomore slumps or surges. So we're going to talk about second-year guys that are about to break out or bust, and it'll be a great one. So, yeah, be sure to check us out there, bigz. You want to?
I'm calling Cam Ward. Then I'm telling you right now. I just talked about him. I'm calling him.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk about this already, so it's great.
Cam Ward is the Caleb Williams of Trevor Lawrence's.
There you have it.
I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing for any of those guys.
No. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please go ahead and like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified when new shows drop on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Check out the Dynasty Pulse. Check out all of the shows that we have from the forum, the Devi Dojo boys. We're all working full year round, bringing you guys the content, the fantasy info that you are going to smash your leagues with next year. Check out the Dynasty Pulse when it drops tomorrow. We're going to have a great guest on there. We're going to be talking about rookies. And spoiler, it's Derek Brown, a.k.a. D-Bro. So don't miss that. And then also, again, nobody's bit on this bait yet. If you want to play Dynasty Fantasy Football in 2026, tell us in the comments. Well, I guess Jamie, but Jamie doesn't count. What's up, Jamie? Shout out. Tell us in the comments. We'll get you into a dynasty league, whether it's novice. We'll put 3 together. We'll do novice, intermediate, and expert. You think you can beat us in dynasty? We'll get you into a startup draft. You never played before? We'll put you with a bunch of people that never played before, and so you can all get your feet wet and stuff. I'll even go ahead and say like live drafts on Zoom. Like, what are we doing here, guys? Let's play fantasy football. Hit us in the comments and we'll get your info and stuff. Other than that, we hope you win.
Hope you win, folks. Peace out.
We've all been there, watching a can't-miss rookie bust while your rival scoops up the next superstar on waivers. The 2026 class is deep, talented, and full of landmines. Do you know who's actually worth the 101? Stop guessing, start scouting. The Fantasy Sports Advice Network 2026 Rookie Prospect Guide is your blueprint for a dynasty. The experts from the Fantasy Forecast, the Devi Dojo, the Dynasty Pulse have logged the hours so you don't have to. From advanced analytical models to raw film grading, we give you the data that translates to Sunday points. Don't just participate in your draft, dominate it. Download the 2026 guide at fsan.com today. Your championship starts here.